Here's 5 of the best and 5 of the worst moments from the 2023 Doctor Who Christmas Special. Number 1. Ncuti Gatwa. So far, Gatwa's been an inspired pick as the Doctor and simply blasting the screen with energy and charisma. In some ways, he's the perfect Disney Doctor. Open, charismatic, and of course with an appeal to younger audiences who'll be celebrating the messages being planted here about diversity. You also get the impression that he'll be equipped with the firepower needed to steer his way through some of Davis's worst excesses as a writer, and yet still do full justice to the nuance and range that the character requires. He feels very much like the right Doctor for this moment in time. Number 2. Ruby Sunday. Ruby Sunday may well sound like an intentionally and somewhat clumsily cast comic book style moniker for a companion, but undoubtedly Miller Gibson's brought a character to life here, one that isn't sidelined by Gatwa himself and the army of CGI goblins, special effects and intriguing background characters. One hopes that Gibson will have her own story that by implication will unfold as the central arc of this season. Any resemblance to Clara or Rose is of course coincidental. Number 3. Mrs. Flood. Anita Dobson is clearly another seed planted for later on. Notably at the end of the episode, unfazed by the existence of a TARDIS and watching the story unfold from her porch, the theories are being fired thick and fast about who she might really be. Is she the Master? Is she Missy? Is she Riversong? Is she the Doctor's grandchild, Susan? Or is she even the Rani? The encouraging aspect of this guessing game is that Russell T Davies will probably be well ahead of all of us, so I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride on this one. Number 4. Production values. The special effects work better when away from the Goblins in truth, and are often quite beautiful when detailing mechanics, physical objects and so forth. Certainly the extra budget that Disney have given the show has punched up the visual gloss in general, and Doctor Who now looks like a show that could easily go toe-to-toe visually with most Disney Plus and Netflix series. Number 5. The writing. The one thing that always works for me is Davies's grasp of class dynamics and his way of speaking directly to mass audiences, in a way which captures the day-to-day existence of working people without sounding patronising or awkward. Ruby's interactions with Cherry, her grandmother, and her adopted mother, Carla, may well have clunked a little on ensuring that all the bases are covered in terms of gender and ethnicity. But the details about everyday concerns on money, work, and the mundane tasks like shopping, caring for elderly relatives, and a sense of optimism in the face of adversity all rang true with an authenticity that few science fiction fantasy writers get anywhere near. It's here where Davies really connects, and you're reminded that his early forays into writing were on top-flight soap opera like Coronation Street, for example. 5 of the worst. Number 1. Murray Gold. Murray Gold's wallpaper of oral treacle really does grind my gears, I'm afraid. The constant barrage of overscoring and emotional signposting that seems to work for so many Whovians, and does actually seem to fit with Davies's more hyperactive approach to Who, doesn't really work for me. His work always sounds like an approximation of a Hollywood soundtrack, rather than an effective formal device to enhance the visuals. Years back and in a previous life as a painter and decorator, I was always told by the older lags to never load too much gloss on the brush. Perhaps Gold could do with a bit of similar guidance here. Number 2. The Goblin Song. To be fair, we have all had the Doctor dance already, but this is where the Disney Doctor really left me completely cold. While it's nice to see Gibson and Gatwa are all-rounders as actors and entertainers, this beat did have all the characteristics of Davies hitting the M&Ms a bit too hard, and the point where someone maybe needs to step in with an intervention. William Hartnell never had to do this.
What you need is a jolly good smack bottom.
To be fair, I didn't like this much when Star Trek Brave New Worlds pulled a similar move earlier this year either. So perhaps this is more to do with an old bloke's retrogressive relationship with narrative, function and verisimilitude, rather than any outrage about getting Who wrong. 3. The Goblins themselves. The Goblins were admittedly intentionally Christmas-themed creation that drew on some poetic timey-wimey justifications that would have made Stephen Moffat gurgle. Gremlins and Labyrinth also provided unsubtle reference points too. Shonky CGI and animatronic moments aside, what the Goblins also illustrate is Davis's rather annoying tick of casting nostalgic pop culture references as threats, and actually his major weaknesses in creating and managing decent villains. Moffat gave us the Weeping Angels, the Silence, Missy et al., whereas this was the writer that led us from the assured silky menace of the sinister Anthony Ainsley and Roger Delgado as the Master, to the pantomime suburban dad, John Sim.
Who the fuck is John Sim?
So remember, he has form here. We'll keep an eye on this one. Number 4, the loneliness of the Doctor. In pausing to reflect on his own loneliness and loss, Gatwa essayed a classic Who trope, that of a man who sits apart from time itself and who endlessly watches the lives of those that he allows himself to love flash by in the blink of an eye. Of course, conveniently forgetting that now Davis has reinvented the entire regeneration cycle in the giggle. So now really Gatwa could just join Tennant and Tate in a garden somewhere and eat crisps or something. Or even go back and pick up the timeless child and take them to McDonald's to cheer themselves up. Number 5. Disjointed narratives. We think of Davis as a master storyteller, and he is. He's brilliant. But we're zipping between alternative timelines in a very fractured fashion, such as say in Carla's house for example, with an almost ADHD sensibility. These happenings do recall some of Moffat's more scattershot efforts too, although he always made the hooks so outlandish and audacious that you can often say that was a fair trade-off. However, so strong is Davis's voice here that we can always hear him roaring into the dictaphone. This happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. It all blows up, but luckily the Doctor flouts the laws of reality and time by doing this and bringing on Bernard Cribbins, who was a Time Lord all along. This cascade of events just stayed on the right side of coherent in the Christmas special, but it is a failing of Davis that hopefully Disney and the production staff can keep a handle on in future episodes. Overall, I'd say pretty good strike rate. I think the episode itself maybe came in at a 7 out of 10. I'll be posting more stuff when I do. Please keep an eye out for that. I hope you enjoyed my rantings, and I'll see you all soon.